They don't want your money. They don't want your help. They want an invitation to get inside. Most predators hunt for survival, but these entities hunt for access. Once you say the words, the nightmare doesn't just begin, becomes your permanent reality. Do not watch this alone, because after tonight, you'll never look at your front door the same way again. January 12, 2026. A quiet, snow-covered suburb in Ohio. The kind of place where nothing ever happens. The temperature has plunged to 10 degrees below zero, and the entire neighborhood is sealed under a thick blanket of pristine white snow. At exactly 2 a.m., a homeowner named Mark is jolted awake. It's not a loud noise, not an alarm, but a rhythmic, metallic knocking coming from downstairs. Thump, thump, thump. It's slow, deliberate, and it cuts through the dead silence of the house. Mark's first thought is a drunk neighbor or a late-night delivery gone wrong. He grabs his phone from the nightstand, his heart starting to beat a little faster. He pulls up his security app, the live feed from the camera over his front door, loading in the dark. The screen flickers to life. The driveway is empty. There's not a single car in sight. He squints at the screen, looking for any sign of movement on the street. Nothing. Then he looks closer at his front porch. The motion-activated light is on, casting a sterile, white glow over the fresh, 5-inch deep snow. And that's when he sees it. Or rather, what he doesn't see. There are no footprints. Not a single disturbance in the perfect, untouched layer of snow leading up to his house. It's as if whatever is at his door simply materialized there, and standing perfectly still, directly under the harsh glare of the porch light, are two small figures. The doorbell camera, a high-definition model he'd installed just last year, gives him a clear view. They look like children, maybe around 10 years old. They're dressed in heavy wool coats, the kind of old-fashioned, drab clothing you'd see in black and white photos from the 1950s. Their collars are pulled up high, and their chins are tucked down into their chests, casting their faces completely in shadow. They just stand there side by side, without moving a muscle. The wind howls outside, visible as it whips loose snow across the camera lens. It's brutally cold, the kind of cold that seeps into your bones. But these two children, they don't shiver. They don't shift their weight or rub their hands together for warmth. They are as still as statues. Mark watches, his confusion turning into a deep-seated unease. He zooms in, trying to get a better look, but their faces remain hidden. Then, one of them speaks. The voice comes through his phone's speaker, and it's odd. It's flat, monotone, with a strange, rehearsed quality. It sounds like a line from a play, delivered without any emotion. "Our parents are late," the child's voice says. "It's so cold. Let us in to use the phone." Mark feels a primal chill crawl up his spine, a cold that has nothing to do with the temperature outside. Every instinct he has is screaming that something is profoundly wrong. Why would two kids be out alone at this hour, in this weather? And why does their plea sound so hollow? He presses the talk button on his app. His voice is shaky when he speaks. "Where are your parents? Where do you live?" There's a pause. The wind whistles. The children don't answer his question. Instead, they take a small, synchronized step forward, moving closer to the door, closer to the camera lens. The one who spoke before repeats the exact same phrase, in the exact same monotone voice. "Our parents are late. It's so cold. Let us in to use the phone." It's not a request anymore. It feels like a command, a broken record playing the same chilling line over and over. Mark's mind is racing. Is this a prank? A setup for a home invasion? But they're just kids. Or at least, they look like kids. The lack of footprints continues to haunt him. How did they get there? He leans in closer to his phone, trying to make out any detail in their shadowed faces. He's about to ask another question, to demand an answer, when his fight-or-flight response kicks into overdrive. A wave of pure, unadulterated terror washes over him, so intense it makes him feel nauseous. It's a gut feeling, an ancient animalistic instinct telling him he is in the presence of a predator. At that exact moment, The porch light above them begins to flicker erratically. On, off, on, off. It casts their small frames in a strobe-like effect. And then, through the grainy, flickering 4K lens, the children finally look up. Mark's breath catches in his throat. His blood runs cold. Their eyes aren't just dark, they are voids. There are no whites, no irises, no pupils. Just two pairs of solid, oily black pits that seem to swallow the light around them. They are bottomless, emotionless, and utterly inhuman. Mark recoils from his phone, nearly dropping it. He's seen horror movies, read scary stories online, but nothing could have prepared him for the sheer wrongness of what he is seeing. This isn't a prank. This isn't a setup. This is something else entirely. He stabs at the phone screen with a trembling finger, his voice a hoarse whisper. No, you can't come in. Go away. The moment the word no leaves his lips, the atmosphere on the porch changes. The air itself seems to crackle with malice. The children's placid, monotone voices are gone. They are replaced by something else, something guttural and monstrous. A low growl rumbles through the phone's speaker, a sound that seems impossibly deep to come from such small bodies. It's a distorted, layered sound, like multiple voices speaking at once, dropping several octaves into a menacing snarl. And then Mark hears a click from downstairs. The smart lock on his front door. He had programmed it to be fail-safe, impenetrable. But now, he hears the terrifying, distinct sound of the deadbolt retracting. Unlocked. The growl on the other side of the door intensifies, laced with something that sounds like triumphant, chilling laughter. Mark scrambles out of bed, his heart hammering against his ribs. He doesn't even think, he just runs. He barrels down the stairs, his bare feet slapping against the cold hardwood floor. He can see the front door, and the handle is turning. The invitation wasn't needed anymore, they were already in. In the dead of winter, 1996, in Abilene, Texas, a journalist named Brian Bethel sat alone in his car, parked outside a movie theater. It was late, the kind of quiet that feels heavy. Suddenly, a knock on his driver's side window. He looked up to see two boys, no older than 12. Their voices were articulate, almost unnaturally so. They needed a ride, they said. Their mom would worry. They couldn't get into the movies without money. Could he help? Brian felt a primal, inexplicable fear crawl up his spine. He reached for his wallet, but his hand froze. He looked closer at their eyes. They were completely black. No sclera, no iris, just solid, bottomless voids. He slammed the car into reverse and sped away, the boy's words echoing in his mind. "We can't come in unless you let us." This incident, first published by Bethel Online, wasn't just a spooky story. It was the genesis of a modern legend, the first digital footprint of what would become known as the Black-Eyed Children. Since then, thousands of similar encounters have been reported worldwide. The details vary, but the core elements remain chillingly consistent. They always appear in pairs, usually children or teenagers. They ask for entry into your car, into your home. Their speech is often described as monotone, mature beyond their years. And always, there are the eyes, those terrifying, solid black orbs that seem to suck the light and warmth out of the very air around them. Folklore has always been filled with cautionary tales about letting strangers in. From vampires needing an invitation to the fae who can't cross a threshold unbidden. The concept is ancient, but the black-eyed children feel different. They are a uniquely modern phenomenon, born and spread through the internet, a virus of fear in the digital age. Skeptics argue they are nothing more than a creepypasta, an urban legend for the 21st century. But can we dismiss the sheer volume of first-hand accounts so easily? Are thousands of people across different cultures and continents all sharing the same delusion? Or are we witnessing the emergence of something new, something that uses our own lore against us, preying on our empathy and our deepest-rooted fears? The legend says they feed on fear, that inviting them in is a spiritual, not just a physical, surrender. Let's dissect the typical encounter. It often begins at night, usually at a place of perceived safety. Your home, a soft, hesitant knock at the door. You look through the peephole and see one or two children, dressed in plain, sometimes old-fashioned clothing. They look harmless, maybe lost, or in distress. They'll ask to use your phone, for a drink of water, or for shelter from the cold. Their request is always reasonable, designed to appeal to your basic human decency, but something feels wrong. An unnerving silence hangs in the air. A sudden irrational panic grips you. That's when you notice their eyes. The moment you see them, the polite facade drops. Their insistence grows. Their voices become demanding, almost threatening. Let us in. We won't hurt you. You have to let us in. Those who have slammed the door report an overwhelming sense of dread and despair that lingers for days, sometimes weeks. They feel as if they've narrowly escaped a terrible fate, though they can't explain what it was. But what about those who don't slam the door? The stories become fragmented, whispered. Reports speak of sudden illnesses, strings of bad luck, psychological breakdowns, or people who simply vanish, leaving behind an empty house and a lingering sense of cold. The door didn't just unlock. It dissolved the boundary between our world and theirs. If you think a deadbolt can stop a black-eyed child, you haven't been paying attention to the reports. These entities, whatever they are, don't play by our rules. They operate on a different plane of existence, one where a locked door is a psychological barrier, not a physical one. Their power lies in persuasion, in getting you to willingly break that barrier. The act of invitation, the simple phrase "come in," is a contract. It's you handing them the keys to your reality. Once that consent is given, locks become irrelevant. Steel and wood cannot protect you from something that can manipulate your will. This is the crux of the horror. The threat isn't a broken window, it's a broken spirit. The real lock they're trying to pick is the one on your soul. January 15th, 2026, 3 days after the Ohio incident. Police arrived to find the house wide open and the heat running at full blast, yet the interior was coated in a thin layer of frost. Mark was gone. No blood, no signs of a struggle. However, his phone was found in the center of the kitchen floor. It had 47 outgoing calls to a number that doesn't exist. The last recording on the device was 10 minutes of pure rhythmic knocking, coming from inside the walls. This case represents a terrifying evolution in the phenomenon. The knocking wasn't at the door anymore. It was from within. It suggests that once invited, they don't just visit it, they infest. The cold that permeated the house, despite the furnace working overtime, is a common thread. Witnesses consistently report a sudden, unnatural drop in temperature, a cold that seeps into your bones, a hallmark of paranormal activity. Mark's disappearance, clean and absolute, points to something beyond a typical abduction. It's as if he was erased from existence, leaving behind only chilling digital echoes on a phone that called a ghost. Investigators are now finding a global pattern. From London to Tokyo, doorbell cameras are picking up the same two children. Data shows that in 90% of these cases, the smart technology in the home locks, cameras, and thermostats fails or operates on its own. It's as if these entities don't just walk through doors. They hijack the very frequency of our lives. They are digital ghosts with physical hunger. Think about it. We've surrounded ourselves with a web of interconnected devices. Our homes are smart, but are they wise? This new wave of encounters suggests these entities have adapted, evolving from simple door knockers to sophisticated spectral hackers. They cause cameras to loop old footage, thermostats to plummet, and digital locks to disengage. They manipulate the very systems we installed for our safety, turning our fortresses of technology into traps. This isn't just a haunting. It's a systems breach on a supernatural level. How did they bypass a military-grade encrypted digital deadbolt from the outside? Why do survivors report a smell of ozone and wet earth right before a sighting? And the most terrifying question of all, Mark's camera didn't show them leaving. It only showed the door closing by itself. Are they still in the house, waiting in the crawl spaces in the shadows of the attic? These questions lead us down a rabbit hole with no bottom. The ozone smell is often associated with high energy discharges or dimensional rifts. The scent of wet earth hints at something ancient, something that belongs to the grave. The encrypted lock suggests they aren't using brute force. They're exploiting a loophole, not in the code, but in reality itself. But the final, most horrifying piece of the puzzle is the empty footage. If they came in, but never left, it implies one of two things, and neither is comforting. Either they can become invisible, cohabiting our space unseen, or the person they came for becomes their new exit. If you hear a knock tonight, do not look at your camera. Do not look through the peephole. And whatever you do, do not acknowledge them, because once you see the black, there is no coming back to the light. Your curiosity is their weapon. Your compassion is their key. Ignoring them is your only shield. Don't answer the door. Don't speak their name. Pretend you aren't home, even as your heart hammers against your ribs. Starve them of the one thing they crave, your attention. They are parasites of perception. If you don't see them, maybe, just maybe, they can't see you. Subscribe to Tales of the Dark, where every story gives you a nightmare.